Today we're talking about the brand new Fujifilm X-T200, a follow-on from last year's X-T100. It's a nice little camera. It's a great hybrid system for stills and for video. There's a number of nice upgrades over the X-T100. It's faster, it's got better autofocus, of course. It's got that 24 megapixel sensor, flip out screen. Like I say, it's a hybrid camera, so it's good for vloggers as well with this flip out screen. You'll be able to see yourself while you're filming. Let's dive in to some of the spec of this camera. Let's throw some samples up on the video and let's just get straight into it with image quality. So as I mentioned, there's a decent array of upgrades in this camera over the X-T100 and it certainly fills in some of the gaps. So you've got a 24.2 megapixel APS-C sensor in there, and the images look really nice. They're really detailed, and as you'd imagine from a Fujifilm camera, the colors look fantastic straight out of camera. But one thing I was particularly impressed with the camera was actually its ability to handle higher ISO images. So bumping that ISO up to 3200 or even 6400, I was getting nice clean images without loads of noise, which was really, really nice. It's nice to see that it's a good low light option as well. Now, of course, you've got some creative options in there as well. You've got the 11 film simulations that you can use in camera to get some nice looking images, and it allows you to be a little bit more creative with the kind of shots that you might go for. Now, the autofocus system is actually very, very similar to the XA7, which I thought was actually very reliable. It's a good AF. You know, I've never had any problems with it. And when I was out shooting, whether I was doing landscape or something a little bit closer up, I was not having any issues with the autofocus. It's also got a decent face and eye detection system in there as well. So of course I mentioned as well that it's a great hybrid system. So for stills and for video, I'm actually shooting on it right now, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. It's going to do 4K, which is what I'm shooting at right now, up to 30 frames a second, full HD up to 120, which is kind of what you'd expect. But it's nice to see it here in this camera. The actual quality is fantastic. I think it looks really, really good. It's able to handle kind of a lot of different things. And something I think really helps when shooting with a camera like this, especially if you want to be vlogging, is the flip out screen. It means you can see yourself really easily while you're walking around. And of course the autofocus, it just works so well. So right now, much like the XA7, which I've shot with as well, I've got the green square around my face. It's tracking my eye as well. So if I move around the frame, it's just keeping me in focus with no issues at all. It makes a massive difference for vlogging. It means you don't have to think about things like that. I can keep myself in frame easily because I can see the screen, but I don't have to think about the focus. I'm not having to worry about it. Now let's talk a little bit about the build and design of this camera. So obviously it's a small, lightweight camera. It's extremely portable, makes for a great travel system, makes for a great kind of companion system for an everyday camera. The build quality is good. It is a plastic design, but it does feel nice. Certainly not a cheap plastic design. Now there's a few bits that I actually really like here. So there's a 3.5mm mic input, which for one, I think is fantastic, because if you're familiar with some of the other small Fujifilm cameras, having a 3.5mm mic input makes a big difference. Now on the actual ergonomics of the camera itself, the grip is relatively small, but it still is comfortable enough for sort of general use, and it never caused me any issues. I've got quite big hands, but it still was comfortable enough for me to carry around. I'd happily carry around all day, especially because of the size and the weight of the camera. You've still got 3 dials on there, so you can actually use manual controls very, very easily, which is nice if you want to shoot into complete manual. And then on the back of the camera, there's a joystick instead of a D-pad, which makes it a lot easier to control menus. Personally, I always prefer a joystick. I just find it much more tactile and much more useful as a control method, and it frees up space for the really quite big 3.5-inch touchscreen. Now that's a 2.7 million dot display, so it's nice and sharp, it's nice and bright as well, which is important, and it is big. This would be really easy to go to if you were using a mobile phone, a smartphone previously for photography. You'd feel right at home with something like this. It's a fully rotatable screen as well, which I always think is great. I always think it should be in every camera. And like I mentioned, it's a touchscreen, so you can use it for focusing and for navigating through menus. There is in fact a touch menu as well, which actually I found to be pretty intuitive and pretty useful for the most part. Now, unlike the XA7, it has a viewfinder in there as well. It is a little bit small, but it's great to have it available here in the camera if you don't want to use that rear screen. Now, a big thing for me is the ability to charge this camera through USB-C. It's pretty much how I like to charge all my cameras. It means that once you plug it into your computer, once you attach it like that, you can just leave it plugged in to charge it. You don't have to worry about a separate charger. And you can actually do this even while using the camera by using a power bank. Ultimately though, the X-T200 is a great hybrid camera with a lot of creative features like the film simulation modes and that massive rear screen. And like I said before, that's going to help anyone coming from a smartphone or looking to use this as a content creator. It's an easy camera to use because of the fairly minimalist design and the kind of touch menus and things like that. And because of the size, it makes for a great companion camera for everyday use, for content creators, and for anyone looking to use a reasonably priced hybrid camera. I'll pop a link down in the description so you can go and check out the camera for yourself. Of course, I'd love to hear any thoughts you might have about the camera, whether you've used the X-T100 or this is, coming straight into this or anything at all. So pop them all down in the comments. If you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Very much appreciated. Make sure to subscribe as well if you're new. I will, of course, see you in the next video. And as always, thanks for watching.